So artificial intelligence is pretty much everywhere now, right? It's making more and more decisions for us, everything from who gets a loan to potential medical diagnoses. But as these incredibly powerful systems get woven deeper into our lives, a huge question comes up. How do we actually trust them? How can we be sure they're working the way they should, that they're fair and ethical? Well, that's where this crucial and honestly very new field of AI auditing comes into play. I mean, think about it. We're heading into a world where AI could be running our most critical infrastructure. But checking up on this stuff, it's not like looking over a balance sheet. We need a totally new kind of oversight for a brand new kind of machine. And that's what this whole new field of AI auditing is all about. So let's get into it. What makes auditing AI so radically different? It's truly a new frontier, and it requires a complete shift in how we think about accountability and oversight. Okay, just picture the difference here. Auditing a traditional system is kind of like checking a calculator's math. It follows a set of rules, right? You put in 2 plus 2, you're always going to get 4. It's predictable. But AI, well, AI systems learn and they evolve on their own. Their answers are based on probabilities and patterns, not fixed rules. So you can't just check the final answer. You have to dig into its entire process of learning and decision-making. And yeah, this new reality comes with some really thorny challenges. Folks who are deep in this field, including the experts at firms like KPMG, have basically boiled it down to 6 major hurdles we have to overcome if we're ever going to truly trust these systems. All right, first up is the big one, the one you've probably heard of, the black box problem. Here's the deal. An AI can spit out a decision, but a lot of the time we can't see exactly how it got there. The logic is hidden. I mean, sometimes even the people who made it can't fully explain the why, and that's a massive problem for accountability. So how do we fix that? Well, it means we have to build these things for transparency right from the very beginning. We're talking about serious documentation, things called model cards that spell out what an AI is supposed to do and what its limits are. It's all about creating a clear trail, shining as much light as we can into that dark box. Okay, challenge number 2, bias data. This one's huge. An AI is really only as smart or as fair as the data we feed it. So if that data has all of our own historical biases baked into it, well, the AI isn't just going to learn those biases, it can actually make them worse, leading to some seriously unfair results. And you can see just how dangerous this gets. Imagine an AI used for hiring. If it's trained on decades of data where, say, mostly men got hired for a specific job, it might just learn to sideline female candidates, even if they're perfectly qualified. You get this vicious cycle, biased data in, biased decisions out. So what do? It's all about being proactive. Auditors have to check the raw data for bias before it even touches the AI. They can run controlled tests using made-up profiles to see if the AI treats different groups of people unfairly. Then, and this is key, they have to be totally transparent about any biases they find. And that brings us right to our third challenge. Who's actually in charge here? Let's say an AI makes a bad, biased call. Who's on the hook for that? Is it the programmer who wrote the code, the company that supplied the data, or the business that decided to use the AI in the first place? Yeah, it gets messy fast. The only way to deal with this is to have crystal clear lines of accountability. That means every organization needs to have someone who is the designated AI risk owner. And this is so important. You have to design systems with a human in the loop. For the really big, life-altering decisions, a person has to have the final sign-off. No exceptions. Challenge number 4 is a very practical one. You can't always see what you need to see. A lot of these AI models are trade secrets, right? They're worth a ton of money, so companies are not exactly thrilled about letting auditors poke around in their secret code. It's like being asked to inspect a factory, but you have to stay outside the building. The smart way around this is something called auditability by design. Basically, you build the ability to be audited right into the system from day one. You create these special access points. Think of them as audit hooks that let auditors test how the model behaves without having to see all the secret code that makes it run. Okay, now we're getting a little philosophical with challenge number 5. Ethics are subjective. I mean, how do you program a machine to be good? We humans have been arguing about what's right and wrong for literally thousands of years. Trying to turn a concept like fairness into ones and zeros that a computer can understand, it's incredibly tough. The goal here is to make ethics actionable. And this is not just a job for coders. You need to bring in everybody: ethicists, sociologists, lawyers, people with different viewpoints.
Together, they can use new standards to take those big, fuzzy ideas and break them down into specific things you can actually test an AI for.
And our final challenge, number 6, is the one that makes everything else even harder. AI is a moving target. These systems are constantly learning, constantly changing based on new data. That means an audit you did in January could be completely useless by June. You're trying to audit something that never stands still.
So because the AI is always on, the auditing has to be always on too. This is not some once-a-year thing. It means you need continuous monitoring. You're constantly looking for any dips in performance, checking for new security holes, and just making sure the system is staying on track over time. Okay, so we've laid out all these massive challenges. How in the world do we move forward? Well, it all comes down to building a really solid governance framework right from the start. Let's walk through what that playbook looks like. A strong governance plan for AI really stands on 4 legs. It all starts with transparency. You have to know how the system works. That leads to clear accountability for what it does. And that accountability is guided by clear use policies across the whole company. Finally, you keep it all up to date with regular reviews. See how they all support each other?
And holding all of this up is one absolutely critical foundation. You're seeing the technical diagram here, but the big idea is actually pretty simple. Before you even think about algorithms, you have to get your data right. It's called master data management, and it's all about making sure your data is clean, consistent, and reliable. That is the bedrock. Without it, you can't build a trustworthy AI.
So what does all this mean? It means the job of an auditor is changing in a huge way. We're moving past the idea of someone who just checks the finances. They're becoming tech strategists, really. The auditor of the future needs a completely new toolkit. Being fluent in data is non-negotiable. They need to be able to think through tricky ethical questions. They obviously have to understand the tech. And maybe most importantly, they need to be agile, ready to learn and adapt as fast as the technology itself. You know, this quote from KPMG just hits the nail on the head. This isn't a one-and-done change. It's a constant process of upskilling. As AI gets smarter and more complex, the people checking on it have to keep pace. Lifelong learning isn't just a nice idea anymore, it's the job requirement. When you step back, you realize that auditing AI isn't just a technical challenge. It's a social one. It's a philosophical one. It really forces us to ask some deep questions about what it means to hold our own creations accountable and what it means to trust them. And that leaves us with this final question to chew on. In a world that's going to be run more and more by AI, what does trust even mean?